And now, the host of Quirks of Israel, Reverend Peter Faust.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Yes, I'm on the show, the 22nd show. The last. Okay, you what? Cauliflower. Okay, how big? That's pretty big. Okay, yeah, I'll get cauliflower. I can't talk right now because they're all applauding and I'm out here on the show. Yes, I love you too. Okay, who do you want? I can't pick her up from soccer practice right now. I'm on the show. Yes, my show. Yes, okay. Okay, yeah. Love you too. Okay, bye. Sorry about that, everyone. Good to see you. Yes. Oh, look at that. Love the afro. I've seen you before. Good there. Oh, nice. Very stylish audience today. Not to saying like the other previous audiences weren't stylish, but I mean afros, like slick hair over there. Love the bangs. Oh, beautiful. Everyone, it is so nice to be here. Welcome to the final episode of the Quirks of Israel show, episode 22. Oh, this is wonderful. It's gonna bring a little tear to my eye, I think, but today's episode is called Museums of Israel. Now, Israel is chock full of amazing wonders in the museum department, and we certainly cannot cover them all on this final episode of the Quirks of Israel show, but I highly recommend that if you're planning a trip to Israel or going on a tour, you will want to explore some of Israel's gems in the category of museums. And what they have to offer is spectacular. So I will highlight some of my favorite museums and you can add these into your Israel visit. Hey, look at this. This show makes it easy, okay? All right. The first museum is Israel's kingpin of museums, and that is the Israel Museum. Established in 1965 and located in Jerusalem, just across from the Knesset, the seat of Israel's government, and in the neighborhood of Givat Ram, which also includes the Israeli Supreme Court, the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Now, when you go visit the Israel Museum, you get a bonus package because it's kind of like a 3-in-1. So when you pay your 54 shekels, which is the admission price for one adult, this gives you access to the Israel Museum, the Shrine of the Book, and the Second Temple Scale Model of Jerusalem. Okay, 3-in-1, great. The Israel Museum gets nearly 1 million visitors a year, and for good reason. It has spectacular exhibits, beautiful gardens, exquisite pieces of art, and boasts an incredible architectural design. Some of the exhibits include the archaeology wing, which is full of wonders, including the Pilate stone, discovered at Caesarea, bearing the name Pontius Pilate. Then you have the Shrine of the Book, which is dedicated to the Dead Sea Scrolls. The fascinating Second Temple Scale Model is also there. And a fine arts wing, which includes art pieces of European contemporary prints and drawings, photography, modern art, design, and architecture, Asian and African art, oceanic art, arts of the Americas, and of course, Israeli art. Okay, that's a lot of art. Then you have the Mando wing for Jewish art and life, which includes a beautiful display of historic menorahs from around the world, the recreation of famous ethnic synagogues, and more. One can also enjoy the famous art garden or youth wing. They like their art. Now, the Second Temple Scale Model is also fascinating because it makes you feel like Godzilla and you took a time machine back 2,000 years ago to Jerusalem of the time of King Herod. The entire city is miniature, but to scale, okay? And it's beautifully created to demonstrate what Jerusalem would have looked like in the first century. You can walk around at ground level, admiring the scale city model, or walk above it as the model is situated at the bottom of an amphitheater type display. You can visit the Israel Museum with an official guide, rent a headset to guide you, or just read everything in sight and waltz through at your heart's content. Now, adjacent to the Israel Museum is another museum called the Bible Lands Museum, established in 1992, which is another gem of Jerusalem and exquisitely laid out. You can literally journey through thousands of years of artifacts from civilizations such as ancient Egyptian, Canaanite, Israelite, Philistine, Hittite, Phoenician, Persian, Babylonian, and Greek. The main gallery displays hundreds of artifacts such as ancient documents, idols, coins, statues, weapons, pottery, and seals from across the ancient Near East. So if you have a love for the Bible and you have an interest in the Bible, or you just enjoy ancient history and want to see it all come to life in an up-close and personal way, then you must visit one or both of these stellar museums. I think that deserves an applause. Okay, now, next on the agenda is Independence Hall, originally the Dizengoff House, love the name, located in Tel Aviv on 16th Rothschild Boulevard. This is the site of the signing of Israel's Declaration of Independence, which has nothing to do with the Nicolas Cage film, and is the location of the announcement made by David Ben-Gurion in the main hall at 4 p.m. on May 14, 1948. Ben-Gurion proclaimed the establishment of the State of Israel 8 hours before the British Mandate of Palestine was due to end. After Ben-Gurion read the declaration in front of members of the Jewish National Council and the leaders of the Yeshuv, or communities, Rabbi Fishman recited a blessing and the declaration was signed, without Nicolas Cage even in attendance. The ceremony concluded with the singing of Hatikva, Hebrew for the Hope, which is Israel's national anthem. From 1932 to 1971, it housed the Tel Aviv Museum of Art, but now is a museum dedicated to the signing of the Declaration of Independence, as well as the history of Tel Aviv. In 1978, Independence Hall was restored to resemble its appearance at the time of the signing of the Declaration and is opened to the public to the experience. Okay, so highly recommend adding this to your Israel visit, all right? Other museums you would see would be the Eretz Israel Museum, the Tower of David Museum, the Negev Museum of Art, the Israeli Air Force Museum, the Tico House Museum, the Palmach Museum, the Latrun Tank Museum, the Gutman Museum, the Ayalon Institute, Tel Dor Museum of Underground Prisoners, Sde Boker, and more and more. Here's to not saying museum for a while. Okay, actually I lied. Hey, now that's a lot of museums, eh? Look at that, you get tongue-tied saying that all the time. There is one everyone must see as well. One museum everyone has to see. And it's a somber and difficult place to visit, but absolutely necessary to see and always remember. And that is Israel's National Holocaust Museum, Yad Vashem. Yad Vashem is not easy, as it documents European Jewish life prior to the Nazis and then the rise of the Nazi war machine and their evil plans and execution to murder all the Jews of Europe. One walks through exhibit after exhibit, from the ghettos to the Wannsee Conference in Berlin, to concentration and death camps, to the resistance of Jewish partisans, and the final Allied victory. The grounds of Yad Vashem contain much more than the official exhibit. You have a forest dedicated to righteous Gentiles, a special memorial to the 1.5 million Jewish children who were murdered, garden statues depicting different scenes and people from the Shoah, as well as one of the actual German cattle cars sitting alone upon a track that juts out from the side of a rocky plateau, a reminder of the thousands of trainloads of Jewish captives who were transported to the death camps, where the vast majority were murdered. There is so much diversity in the museums of Israel, and I have barely scraped the surface. From archaeology to art to innovation, cultural history, aliyah, politics, war, accomplishments and failures, to life and development, to making the desert bloom and be a blessing to the world, to struggle and courage, to tragedy and brokenness, to pioneering and invention, to medicine, literature, and music. The museums of Israel reveal to the onlooker the amazing place that is Israel, a nation of vibrancy, memory, rebirth, and color, a people of diverse backgrounds and faiths, a light to the nations and a haven for their citizens, a people who impact the world and who strive for peace, a land bearing God's name and filled with His promises, the land where Messiah will reign, and where the nations will journey to worship the King. The prophet Zechariah recorded, yes, many peoples and strong nations shall come to seek the Lord of hosts in Jerusalem and to pray before the Lord. Thus says the Lord of hosts, in those days 10 men from every language of the nations shall grasp the sleeve of a Jewish man, saying, let us go with you, for we have heard that God is with you. Israel is quirky. Cheers and lahit ra'ot.